All right. What's going on, Paul? We're live. Hello. Hello, everyone. Daryl and Sue, you were first in. Good evening. Hello, Fiona. Hi, Dan. Hi, Kay. Hello, Craig. And Joan and Karen. Hello, Peter and Karen. Rob and Luke are back. Good to see you guys. Hello, David. Hello, Cotty and John. Running late today, so tasting some meat pie. Fair enough, too. My meat pies are still heating up as well. Jill is in charge of finishing them off and bringing them out. I've got tomato sauce, so I got most of the way there. Who else is here? Okay. I've already said hello to. Hello. Torelli seems very popular today. They do have good pies. Dan tried to procure pies from Sydney CBD, but no such. You're home again as well, Dan. You're Sydney now, Dan. Well, there you go. I think, hello, Linda. Hello, Dies. How you going? G'day, Lions. Who else have I not said hello to? Oh, Emily and Kevin. G'day. If I've missed anyone, please shout out. Venison on my shirt. I do. I've got my little deer shirt. It's too cold in here to take my jumper off, though, so you just have to see the colours. Sue and Daryl looking forward to tonight's engagement. Excellent. Well, we have our guest wine from Ministry of Clouds LDR. Hopefully, so before I open it, I have to apologise on behalf of Bernice and Julian. They're not really apologetic because they're on an aeroplane somewhere in Europe, so they couldn't join us. G'day, Jeff and Sue, how you doing? But Ian Cameron may well be jumping on. He said he was going to try, which sounds pretty good. Wild pies with venison in them sound pretty yummy, Fiona. Party pies are the best, Sue. And Sue gets a big shout out from me because she went on quite the adventure to find some party pies for me and for her and Jeff. So thank you, Sue. I'm hoping that my party pies will come out of the kitchen soon because I'm a bit hungry. Let's get this bottle open. So Ministry of Clouds, LDR from the Adelaide Hills. Some of you have already tasted this wine. Some of you have not. I think it's delicious, 2023 vintage. So let's get it in the glass. I've decided I brought a Pinot glass and I brought a Magnum glass, but I think it's going to be better out of the Pinot glass. The reason I'm not sure is because this is a blend. It's a blend of Pinot Noir and Syrah, or Shiraz as we like to call it here at Moorooduc, and Gamay. So 3 grape varieties. It's a wine that we've already had some discussions here at home about who it's aimed at. Ministry of Clouds don't make a bad wine. That's right, Craig. I think their wine is delicious. The only thing better than a pie is a party pie. I agree. The ratio of meat to pastry in a party pie is much better than that in a good pie. So the Ministry of Clouds guys, they are on I believe they're on a tour. They were in Hong Kong, but got out before the typhoon, doing some wine events, and I believe they're in Europe doing some wine events. Hopefully, having a little holiday as well. So that's why they couldn't be here, but that's okay because I think between all of us, we can tell the people who haven't been to Ministry of Clouds what's special about them, what's amazing. We don't, and also most of you were here when we did the Mencia last year. I think it was last year. It might have been the year before. Anyway, we have done. Excuse me. Still coughing 3 weeks later, but I have some water, so hopefully I'll be able to control the cough a little bit, and have some wine as well. Cotty, this wine has such a complex nose. I agree. So we had a conversation here because you all know my mother's distaste for the Shiraz grape variety. So I'm not sure I'm not sure what she's going to think of it, but she was like, I don't really get why you'd call it LDR, which stands for light dry red. And I have trouble getting the letters in the right order because I want it to be a little red dress rather than a light dry red. So LDR, but there's something about this wine that reminds me of a really cool little red or a little black dress. It's kind of slinky party wine. It's hello, Alison. Glad you made it. On the nose, it's got such a gorgeous sort of collaboration of aromas. Lots of blackcurrant for sure, Fee. But it's also got some of that Pinot cherry, a little bit of raspberry and strawberry in there, but it's also got some black plum from the Shiraz, and from the Gamay you get a bit more of that sort of blackberry, blackcurrant aromatics. It's got a slight leafiness to it as well, which I think is really appealing. Craig, I agree. All of the Ministry of Clouds wines have really lovely bright acidity, and this wine is no exception. I haven't put it in my mouth yet, but I have been known to drink this wine before, so I am not unfamiliar with it. You're going to have to excuse me coughing and carrying on. There is a hint of licorice in there, Cotty, and I think that's one of the lovely things about this wine. It's got that juicy fruit. It's got a little bit of kind of molasses and licorice and sweet shop kind of aromatics, possibly a little bit of carbonic maceration. I'm not sure. I didn't read the winemaking notes before I jumped on, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of carbonic maceration that brings up that little licoricey, chocolatey kind of a note. But there's also that, as I said, that leafy kind of herbal note as well, which gives it a bit of savouriness, a bit of complexity. I really love that nose. Absolutely, Craig. Definitely white and black pepper from the Shiraz. And on the palate, I think there's a little bit more of that Shiraz kind of almost sour salted plum character, that a little bit Japanesey. One of the things I love about the Ministry of Clouds wines is that they do have, and it's sort of, I feel like there's this kind of simpatico kind of character between Ministry of Clouds and Moorooduc, that they've got a core of sweet fruit to them, but there's a savouriness and there's an umami character to the wines that just take them away from being simple fruit-driven wines. They've got elegance, they've got that lovely, as Craig mentioned, that lovely acid line to them, and they work really well with food. I feel a little bit guilty matching them to paddy pies tonight because a lot of people think of paddy pies as being sort of trashy food. I disagree, and I think I've got a lot of people on my side with the paddy pie voting here from comments already made that that a good paddy pie is a really delicious mouthful or two, particularly if you've got good tomato sauce to go with it. And it's got all the things that you want in really delicious food. It's got slow cooked meat. It's got some really good gravy. I'd really like to know if it goes really well, Linda. Jill was going to be bringing me some paddy pies out, but she and Peter and Richard seem to have all disappeared. So I might not get any paddy pies tonight. They'll probably burn in the oven while I'm waiting, which will be really sad. Craig, both have all structural soundness but have a sprinkling of wild flavours. Yeah, I think that's a really nice way of putting it. There's a familiarity to the wines in that sort of juicy mid-palate character, but then there's that wildness on the edges that makes them a bit exciting. The vibrancy of the acid really helps as well. I know it's very sad, so I'll be ringing them soon. I've got my phone here. I'll be ringing Peter and saying, can someone please bring me some pies if they don't come out soon. Polly's not even here. I don't know what's going on. I was going to get my own pies, but they would have been a little bit soggy. So hopefully, if I'm lucky. Linda, you could ring Jill, but she might not answer her phone. I'll give them a little bit of, I can hear someone coming up the stairs. They might be coming up to, Jill's coming up. She might bring me a pie soon before I finish all my wine. I don't know. They just seem to have lost interest in Drinks with Kate. It's very sad. Rita, you should drive down, but but you should not, because you should be comfortable in your PJs. Craig, the Wagyu super sliders go really well. Excellent. The Beerenberg tomato sauce, especially. Yeah, so it doesn't need to be really fancy tomato sauce. Good commercial tomato sauce can work really well with a wine like this, because it's got that umami flavour and it's got a sweetness, which is really rather lovely, like a tomato sauce. But the meat in the gravy and then the pastry on the outside that gives you all that lovely salty, buttery yumminess is really also important in the balancing of the food and the wine. What else are people saying? Nareem, the dyes are having mature cheddar and wild deer salami. Yum. Hunted and salamied. Hands of friends, not ways. Awesome. It has to be good pastry though, Fiona. That's absolutely correct. So, yep. And also I think it's worth, so my thinking about this, I could have pulled my pies out before I came to talk to you, but the pastry would still have been soggy. I'm hoping that it's a little bit crunchy by the time it comes to me. It does sound delicious. Kay's beef bourguignon pie is going really well with it. That's great. So Rita, did you end up doing cheese or did you end up doing a pie? Because I think I saw on the group chat before that you were you'd gone the pie after all. But I do think this is a lovely wine to drink with cheese and meat as well. Cheese for you now. Okay, cool. Excellent. So as it sort of opens up, I'm getting a little bit more of that licorice. I'm getting some violet as well on the nose, which I think is rather like those little, what are they called? It's not like fresh violet flowers. It's like those little violet pastilles that the French do. Here comes Jill with my pies. Yay, Jill. Thank you. Hurrah.
You've already got.
Thank you. I told you I had the tomatoes. Look at that. Hey, nice and crunchy. Thank you, Jill. You're not going to come on the camera today. Jill's in her woolly hat and her tracky dacks tonight because it's cold in here. Yes, that's right. Thank you, Mum. Polly, what about you? Where's your pie? Oh, Jill's got a sausage roll for Polly. Okay, back to the wine. Rita's waiting on her son to finish tutoring for the pie. Oh, good on you. I hope there'll be some wine left as well. Alison's tomato sauce of choice comes from Port Elliot General Store. Most amazing if you ever pass by. Well, my tomato sauce of choice comes from Jill McIntyre. It's pretty awesome. Dad, are you going to drink Chardonnay instead of the Ministry of Clouds? It's right here. You just need to walk over and get it. Sonia, you didn't get the wine box. Oh no, indeed, absolutely. And you've been traveling as well. So, and this box is this is the last wine in this box. So we'll be moving on to box 5 very soon as well. Okie doke. What else is going on in the nose? Gamey notes. Some really nice meaty notes. And that's why I think, so this one always strikes me as being a very meaty kind of wine. It's I'm just taking the lids off my party pies because they're too hot now. Dad, you've got a cat that would like to come in. The cats are being naughty tonight. They're coming and sitting by all the doors. What was I saying? Oh, yes, meatiness. Port Elliot's the best, says Peter and Karen. Cody makes Stephanie's tomato relish. Yes, that is a very good. Oh, hello, Tallulah. Tallulah's here. That means Nina's here. And Peter and Nina and Tallulah and Jill will probably be coming in to have a. Hello, little girl. Shh. Little bit of dog excitement when friends arrive. All right. Good on you, Richard. Thank you. Oh, Craig, you got your box 5 today? Good, excellent. I think it's going to be really fun. The Grenache will be really delicious, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to Dylan about it. I'm still waiting for Ian to get on to tell us all the secrets about this wine. But if he doesn't come on, it's all right. Hi, Nina. All right. So a little bit of meatiness coming off the meat pies now that I've taken the lid off. It's working very nicely with the fruitiness of the wine. Craig, I think also box 5, and anyone who hasn't got box 5 yet, you'll find that there's a little mystery wine in there with with Peter's hand created label, and that's going to be fun too. That's going to be a winemaking technical session, which is going to be, I think, really awesome. All right, how's this wine evolving? I'm getting more red raspberry, strawberry fruit on the nose here now. So Kay's noting that the LDR is Adelaide Hills, so I assume all the fruit is from there. Yes, absolutely. Daisy's saying hello to you, Polly. Dogs barking through the computers. Very nice. I think the pepper spice, and there's also some cinnamon and some slightly Moroccan spices coming up as well on the nose now, which is rather lovely. All right. I'm hoping that I've let my pie cool off enough so that I can have a taste and see how it goes with the wine. Sonia, when should you get your box 5? Well, if you're leaving on a road trip, we can check when you should get it probably next Wednesday if you haven't got it already, because Pete actually asked me to let you guys know that if you've got a subscription for Drinks with Kate, then he's moved a few of the subscriptions forward a couple of days so that he can deliver them for you next Wednesday, so that they will be with you in time for us to start the box the following week. But Sonia, just send me a little email, because tomorrow's a public holiday officially. If you send me an email, I'll make sure that I check when your box is due to go out. Because I'm going on holiday next week to Tasmania. You're leaving Tuesday, Sonia. Well, we won't be able to. I don't think we'll be able to get it to you before Tuesday. But you should ring Leonie over the weekend. Ring Leonie on Saturday and talk to her about. We might be able to send it to where you're going. Anyway, probably can't organise it over the tasting talking. 5 minutes to pie time, Alison. Oh, good, excellent. Well, my pie, I think is starting to cool down enough. No, it's still too hot. I'm going to burn my mouth. Okay, thanks, Sonia. I would say email Pete, but he's also going to be off for the public holiday tomorrow. But Liz will be in tomorrow. Leonie will be in on Saturday. So one of the girls will be able to sort you out, Sonia, I'm sure. Okay. Party pies with Sue's special tomato relish is a perfect match with the wine. I thought it might be. Jeff, Dan's arrived. Dan Page has arrived. Yeah, good, excellent. Did anyone do a salad or veggies with their pie? Rita, don't be silly. You don't have salad or veggies with pie, do you? Maybe you do. Maybe people do. I've got a little bit of parsley on the side of mine. Okay, here we go. Okay, Sonia wants to know, is anyone using an air fryer for their pie? If so, how long for a standard lunch size pie? That's outside of my I don't know. Yeah, mine is nice and crunchy. Thank you. Veggies, as it's a family pie, so pumpkin, broccoli, and zucchini. Well done, Kay. That's very grown up of you. I'm just eating pie with tomato sauce. Crunchy pie with tomato sauce. Isn't burning your mouth part of the party pie experience? Yes, Cotty, you either have to burn your mouth or you have to eat them once they've gone completely cold and been sitting around on the plate for half an hour. There you go, Sonia. You've got some cooking instructions from the people who know about air fryers. I'm going to have another bite of my pie because that was really yummy and it's made me really hungry. Okay. There we go. I managed to burn the side of my mouth. So that's great. I'll have to have some wine. So the meat and the sweetness, the savouriness of the meat and the pepperiness of the meat and the spicy sweetness of the tomato sauce and the salty, buttery crunchiness of the pastry, I think are just such a wonderful combination to go with a wine like this. The acid in the wine and the red fruitedness of the wine is so good. It is really floral now, isn't it, Loans? Cold party pies are the ultimate hangover cure, says Craig, but you need to eat a whole box. Oh, my God. I think I might throw up. Yeah. No, you can. Yeah. Craig. See Craig's question above. What was Craig's question above? I got Alison, Craig. Rita's been retracting. Sorry, Alison, you're going to have to help me with that. What was Craig's question above? Do they make this wine each year but change the mix? Okay, good, excellent. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I think that it's probably 22 didn't have Gamay. Thank you, David. I would imagine that it's a work in progress, this wine. So the story that I was told was that this wine is inspired by the traditional Hunter and Yarra Valley Shiraz Pinot blends that we saw a while back and that have come back into vogue again recently. I'm sure some of you have asked me if Moorooduc will ever do a Shiraz Pinot blend. I think maybe David, you might have asked me about that. But we wouldn't because that's not what we're interested in. But I think after tasting this wine, I think it does really well as a blend from Adelaide Hills. I think that's right, Fiona. I think that you oh my God, dogs, leave the cat alone. Naughty dogs. If the Pinot is really, really beautiful, then you don't need to muck it up with Shiraz, but I think you can make a really nice blend with young Pinot and maybe slightly young Shiraz to get the best out of both of those varieties. I think the Gamay in this vintage of the Little Black Dress, I'm just what I'm going to call it now, is I think it's a touch of genius because I think it gives it a bit more crunchiness and juiciness. I think it's really rather lovely. David, any other variety improves stress? Thank you. Rob is saying it's a truly joyous wine and a perfect food pairing. Never would have thunk it. I know, right? So Rita wants to know, why do they blend these wines? So blending different grape varieties gives you essentially a more complex wine. You don't get the purity of a single varietal blend, but often you'll get more complexity and depth when you blend the right things together. So in Australia, we've been taught and we've learnt sort of as wine drinkers that single varietal wines are better than blends. And if you think about it, sort of your cheaper blends like St. Hallett's Poacher's blend, Gamekeeper's blend, can't remember which is the red or the white, but that's a blend. Your GSM Grenache Shiraz Mourvedre is a traditional blend from South Australia that is copying the blending of grape varieties from Southern Rhone. a lot of people think of those as being cheaper wines and straight varietals being the more expensive, fancier wines. And Mum actually said something similar to that today. She said this blend doesn't sound like a really what she would think of as being necessarily the sort of fancy wine that we'd usually be drinking with Drinks with Kate. And I kind of agree. I see where she's coming from with that. And I've totally paraphrased what she said, but hopefully I kind of got the gist of it. She's glaring at me now. But I do think it is very nice, isn't it? I think that the proof is in the pudding. Yeah. Luckily, nobody can hear you except for me, so bad luck. You have to come over here and put your face in the computer for them to be able to hear. Fiona says that she recalls Shiraz Viognier was a fancy blend. It was a fancy blend. Kay and Craig are having a... Kay and David are having a fight about Shiraz. I don't think no, I agree, Craig. I don't think that it would work with cool climate Shiraz because it already has the acid. And the Gamay and Pinot brings crunchiness and acidity to the Shiraz, which I think is really nice. Okay, so Lines, I've been more open to blends lately, but it will never be my real thing. So this is interesting. If you think about it, though, some of the greatest wines in the world are blends, and I'm talking about Bordeaux is almost always a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, often Merlot, often some other varietals. And Bordeaux has been, for a lot of the world, the greatest wine in the world. Burgundy, on the other hand, is single varietals. So if you're a Burgundy person in France, then straight Pinot Noir, straight Chardonnay is going to be your thing. If you love a wine from Châteauneuf du Pape, those wines can be blended between 13 different grape varieties. So I think that Dan is saying the new world single variety versus old world blends is such an interesting conundrum. I just think it is a conundrum, but I think it's also just what we've been brought up with, and we've learnt in Australia in the last 50, 60, 70 years that wine should be labelled for its grape variety, whereas in Europe, traditionally, wine is labelled for where it comes from. And if where it comes from is making, sorry, there's some weird noises coming from the ceiling that we're perplexed by, so I'm looking over there. Champagne. Oh, yes. Yes, someone else has said that. Who's Fee also said champagne, so it absolutely is a blend. So blending brings complexity. Blending often brings balance. Blending also is something that you can do if one of the grape varieties that you grow needs a bit of help from another one. You know, in Champagne, Meunier was grown for the cooler years when you couldn't really get Pinot Noir ripe enough, and it gave it a bit more oomph. In Châteauneuf du Pape, people are tending to use a bit less Grenache and a bit more Mourvèdre and other grape varieties in their blends because it's getting hotter there and the Grenache is getting very, very ripe, so very high alcohol. It sounds confusing, Alison, but I don't think it is. I think it's just our culture, and culturally in Australia, grape varieties were blended because they were from lesser vineyards, probably often overcropped, younger vines, and you'd get some kind of fairly straightforward Shiraz, some pretty ordinary Cabernet. The ordinary Cabernet would have a lot of tannin and not a lot of flavour. The straightforward Shiraz would have a lot of flavour and not a lot of tannin. You blend them together, and the Cabernet would have more acid. So you blend them together and you get a wine that's much more balanced. And that's why we think of blended wines as being cheap wines generally, whereas in other parts of the world and a lot of Australian modern wines are high-end blends because the people who are making them love the flavour profile that you get sort of by blending the different grape varieties. I think this is a really good example of that. Okay, Fiona, I love the white blends that McLaren Vale were doing as homage to Southern Rhone. Absolutely, stuff that wouldn't normally be in my Chardonnay loving radar. Absolutely. Dan's saying it's definitely a cultural thing here. It's interesting how different parts of Europe have both Bordeaux versus Burgundy. Yeah, absolutely. On the naming of wine in France, Alison, can be confusing. Absolutely. You need to learn it all. I want to eat my pie, but it's kind of half collapsed. Hang on a sec. Sue wanted to know why my pie was so crunchy, because it'd been in the oven for half an hour. So a little bit longer in the oven makes it go crunchy. Amazing. What else? Peter and Karen munched our pies, so I moved on to charcuterie, the salami, better than the prosciutto. Yeah, you need some spiciness, you need some fattiness, and salami will do that in a way that prosciutto won't. I'm not sure how this wine will age, because to me, it's as it sits in the glass, it's kind of getting more red fruited. The acid's kind of coming forward a bit more. I think a little top-up pour will probably bring the fruit back and make it, I think it's a sort of a drink now and over the next year or two kind of wine, but I could be wrong. Nareem's saying even within a grape variety, everyone blends across clones that can be quite different themselves. That's absolutely right. With Pinot Noir, we talk about the different clones, and we blend across the grape, across the clonal varietals, and also often across different vineyards to bring more complexity into the wine. Is there a blend, Craig wants to know, that has ever taken Jeremy's fancy? I think Jeremy likes quite a lot of blends. I don't think we're going to be doing any of them here, though. I think cool climate wines, apart from champagne, tend to be less likely to be blended. Certainly the grape varieties that we grow are all grape varieties that tend not to be blended. When we made a Cabernet, that wasn't straight Cabernet Sauvignon, that was Cabernet and Merlot and Cabernet Franc, so that was a blend for sure. But yeah. You'll have to ask Jeremy that, Craig, and he's not on the chat tonight because he's been busy doing his renovations today. Kay, I noticed the nose dropped off fairly quickly. It is delicious, though. Absolutely. I'm just going to eat this last little bit of pie. Excuse me for a moment. I could ask Richard if there was any blend of grape varieties that you'd like to play around with in the winery. He can't hear. Sorry. His hearing aids aren't working properly. Are there any blends of varieties? We're talking about blends over here. Oh, good. So Craig wanted to know if there was anything that took Jeremy's fancy. I wondered whether there's anything that you had a desire to play with. No. Oh, Jeremy, hi. Jeremy's just dropped in. Answer. Yeah. So they can't hear you. Dad's saying that he's done his blended stuff and he's more interested in single varietal varieties in the future. So Jeremy got the question. Hi. Are you able to answer Craig's question? Pinot Nebbiolo, Rob wants to know. That would be the most likely possible blend that you'd see here at Moorooduc, but I think probably not. I reckon in the early days, if the Nebbiolo is not good enough to make into a serious single varietal red wine, probably make it into a rosé style of wine to start off with and let those vines get a bit older. But that's sort of my thought. We haven't really talked about it. Alison's wild party pies are excellent. Good. Giving Jeremy a sec. He's probably trying to cook dinner and wrangle kids and talk to us at the same time. It's pretty funny. But Craig, yes, saw the J signal in the sky. Absolutely. While we wait for Jeremy to gather his thoughts, Nareem, maybe time for a duck sparkling with Pinot and Chardonnay. Absolutely not. So we have made sparkling wine before here. It's too warm to make really great sparkling wine, and picking fruit early to retain acidity and to reduce flavour just is not in our nature. You know, you want to grow the best fruit that you can and make the best wine that you can. So no, we won't be wasting our fruit on making sparkling wine. We'll make table wine and sell it and buy champagne. Thank you very much. The paddy pies, everyone's saying that the wild pie paddy pies were great with the wine. Craig wants to know who's on my dance card for Tassie. Well, sadly for me, or maybe gladly for me, I'm not in charge of the itinerary, and my friends who are in charge of the itinerary, who could very well be watching tonight, but I doubt they are. Hello, cooks. I know Karen and Andy won't be because they're on an aeroplane halfway to Australia. But my English friends are trying to see all of Tasmania in 5 days. So we are hoping to visit a couple of wineries. I'm hoping that we might go to taste some Moorooduc Estate wines at Mona if they wait until I get there to go on Sunday. So that would be fun. We're also looking to go and see Joe Hollyman and not sure where else, but a couple of places around Launceston probably. And if we drive past somewhere else, I'd love to take them to Tolpuddled. I'd like to take them to lots and lots of places, but they haven't left room for that. They want to try and walk Cradle Mountain and Wineglass Bay and the Bay of Fires and go and see all of the everythings. And I just fear that they're going to exhaust themselves driving all over the place. Anyway, we'll see how we go. Alison didn't think much of the Mona wines. Well, that's interesting. I've had some of them, and some of them are good and some of them are not so great. No, we haven't been training for Cradle Mountain, Sue. Don't be ridiculous. Don't tell them earthquake last night on the West Coast. I will tell them. We might just have to settle down. I know, Peter and Karen, it's doing my head in. It's too much. Anyway, hopefully by the time we get there, they'll realise that we can't do all the things they want to do, and we'll just settle it. Okay, Jeremy. Jeremy finds blends an excellent instrument to make a made wine. You can use a variety to fill in a hole in another. You can extend the length of a wine, etc. in the same way. It's a very wonderful tool. However, little one. K. What's K? Little one. A little earthquake. Oh, okay. Jeremy goes on to say, for a winemaker to make a picture of a wine they wanted to make, we're not that keen. Okay, so Jeremy's not that keen on that, as he finds making a single varietal wine much more challenging but more interesting. And I think that Dad and I would both agree with that sentiment, that having to rely on a single variety means that you can't hide mistakes so easily, you can't fill in holes, you can't add length or complexity to the wine by blending varietals together. But making a single varietal wine, it shows you all the gorgeousness as well as all of the potential shortcomings of a site. David's saying that the current Muse Pinot Chardonnay sparkling is great. Good, excellent. Craig's heading to Orlando next week. Do you have a wine match for Disney food? Yeah, any of the cake wines in America, they're red. They're often called things like chocolate fudge cake or red velvet cake. They're wines that have significant residual sugar in them. They're pretty horrendous. They'll go very nicely with a sweet breaded hamburger from Disney. Yeah, good luck with that, Craig. Kay takes back her comment on the nose dropping up. Refilled the glass, it's very different. Yeah, absolutely. Sitting in the bottle, tip for Disney food, Mexican beer, absolutely, Fee. Look out to match a turkey leg. Sonia's off to Orange. The motorhome rally has natural wine tasting on the agenda. Oh, good luck. You don't have to put it in your mouth. You have to remember that. Whenever you're at a tasting, you don't have to put it in your mouth and you don't have to swallow it if you don't like it. That's a very important rule of wine tasting. Dark corn wines in the USA, says Rita. There's a, yeah. Cody, I've had some delicious Zinfandels from California. Really delicious. Orange Sonia, exactly. Tell your friends that Tassie is over half the. I've told them, Nareem. I've told them and told them and told them. They don't believe me. They said we may never come back to Tasmania, so we need to see as much of it as we can in the 5 days that we're there. So we'll just see how they're going. If you're going to Disney, bourbon, lots of it, says Emily. That's a good point. Have a good old fashioned or 3. Sonia, make sure DeSalis is on your list, says Craig, when you're in Orange. Yeah, nice. David, they get the highest rated Aussie Sauvignon Blanc for Lady A. No, that's all right. The Lady A Sauvignon Blanc for $90 a bottle can stay where it is as far as I'm concerned. Domain A do Cabernet, David, that is very famous. I've tasted it a few times and I disagree with you that it's great. I think it's okay, but it's a bit weird. They should see the wall, if possible, is amazing. Yeah, they'll see bits and they won't see other bits, Kay and everyone, and just, I'm just exhausted thinking about it. So we'll just see what happens. I'll report back. That brings me to next week. When I will be somewhere in Tasmania. I don't trust the Wi-Fi where we're going to be. I have no idea whether we'll have Wi-Fi. I also have no idea if we see a Patamelon. Yes, that would be very good fee. We'll make sure that we keep an eye out for those. I'm also not in charge of the itinerary, so we may not be anywhere where I can broadcast for next week. So. Jeff and Sue, the wild pies. Someone, Shell and Andrew got us onto the wild pie company. They are online. If someone could just pop up the full name of the company so that Jeff and Sue can Google it, that would be amazing, because I can never remember what it is and I keep meaning to look it up. Shut up, Peter. David got them onto it. Okay, David, what's the name of the company? Joe Barrett Beechworth. Thank you very much. There you go, Sue and Jeff. Joe Barrett Beechworth. Google that and you'll find the pies. You can buy them online. Wild pie. Excuse me. I'm going to take my slightly phlegmy throat away in a minute because it's starting to annoy me and I'm sure it's starting to annoy you guys. But yes, as I say, next week we're going to have a break. If I happen to be somewhere where I can log on and say hi, then, and you're sitting around, bored on a Thursday night with a beer or a gin and tonic, I'll send out an email and let you know if I can jump on. But I think we should expect it not to happen next week. But the following week we start box 5. I'll be in Adelaide, but I won't be able to broadcast from there. And I'll see you then with, I can't remember what the first wine is for I think it might be a Pinot Gris, possibly, but I'm not sure. Thank you, Alison. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll get to a loft in Hobart for dinner, but I will mention it to my friends. I know I should, but I'm not in control of these things. So Jill's just said it's terrific as well. So Alison, thank you. We will see how we go. I will try and survive Tassie and I will try and have I will enjoy it. I love Tassie as well. I have been there before, which is why it's very frustrating that my friends won't take some advice. Anyway, it has been delightful. Thank you, everyone. I will send you an email in a couple of weeks' time to introduce Box 5 properly. But in the meantime, enjoy the last of your little black dress, little red dress, light dry red. It's a delicious wine. Box 5 is going to be such fun. If you haven't ordered it yet, go for it. Pete's doing deliveries next Wednesday. And that's all I can say. Polly's barking. I'm croaky. I'm going to leave you to it. Love you lots, guys. See you soon. Bye.